Last episode, I not only installed the start of our storage system, I also built a couple of buildings on our steampunk main street. Today, however, is all about power, and our extreme lack of it currently. And I'm also going to build a huge chunk of main street ready for the world download, but we'll get to that later. Now, when it comes to generating power, there's a few ways to do it in Create. We can use water wheels of various sizes, we can use a windmill, or we've got steam engines, which I can't place because it needs to be attached to the side of a copper tank. Didn't really think that through. But we've already done water wheels. In fact, we've done lots and lots of water wheels. All of these are full of them. And we've also done windmills. Kind of. But for the amount of power this park's going to need, I think the only real option is to make a massive steam power plant. The problem with steam power, however, is it does need a fuel source to keep it going, and that can be anything that burns, such as coal or blaze rods, wood. But of course, we're going to be using lava, which means we're going to need, well, lots of lava. Lots and lots of lava. In fact, we're going to need an infinite amount of lava, which is usually not a thing in Minecraft. You can get infinite water, but not infinite lava. In Create, however, we can get infinite lava. We just need to get 10,000 source blocks of the stuff first. Which means I'm going to need a great big hole, probably over here somewhere, that we can then put 10,000 lava source blocks in. So I guess we better go make a whole bunch of drills to get this done. Made a whole bunch of drills and a rope pulley, so this should enable us to do what we need. So I just need to go underground here and mark out where we want to put this. And I've worked out if we do a pit that's 20 blocks on all sides, so width, length, and depth, then we should end up with 10,000 blocks. Right, well, that should just about do it. I've actually done it as 22 by 22, because that way we've got an extra block at the side, so we can put in some blocks just so if we are digging underground, we don't dig into the side of our lava. That would be bad. Now I just need to place loads of drills, and if we do a 10 by 10 square in the middle here, and then stick another row on each side, that will give us our wall placement area as well. We're going to want to stick a couple of chests to the back of this as well. Then let's just get all of this glued together. Then what I'm going to do is stick a block on the back of that, and we're going to put the rope pulley next to it. Or on top of it, I should say. Then we just need to give that some power. So what I've actually done is just brought a few water wheels. We'll just get these blocked in and throw in some water. And that's going to give us power, but I want control over the speed. So we're going to stick in a speed controller down here. Then I just need to get this linked up to the rope pulley. Well, I think we're just going to have to use a couple of vertical gearboxes here. And if we do that, okay, so it's all connected. It should work. I just need to change the direction on this. Let's go. Then we're just going to reverse direction and pull that back up. And I just need to do that 3 more times and we'll have a massive pit here. There we go, a nice big hole. That should be enough to hold the lava. But I will just make sure with my calculations by placing a whole bunch of blocks. Yep, that's 22 wide, as is that side. That means at least the inside is fine. Now let's just make sure it's deep enough. It certainly is. We've even got a few blocks to spare. Wonderful. The lava hole is complete. Now we just need to fill it up, and to do that, we need to go to the nether. Firstly, to hope that we've actually got a lake nearby to that pit, and then secondly, to build a system to pump it all out. Going to need some pipes, pumps, spout and an item drain, a bunch of buckets, a bunch of obsidian, flint and steel, and we're going to need a couple of hose pulleys. And that should be everything we need, hopefully. Get this to work. So first up, let's see what we're dealing with on the nether side. Alright, we've got a fortress right there, but there is a lava lake just down here. Perfect. That's a big old lava lake, which means it's going to be infinite as well. Now, what I need to do is sketchily bridge out over this, put down our hose pulley, and then we're going to use the hand crank to lower this all the way down to the bottom. I don't know why the colour's gone weird, though. Then I need a bunch of pipes so we can pipe that lava over here somewhere. Now, I don't know what's going on with this rendering, but yeah, for some reason stuff just isn't rendering properly in the nether. But we're going to have a belt going that way and basically feeding our full lava buckets into the portal. So we need a spout above here, and that pipe just needs to go to there. We are going to need a pump, however. Once again, not rendering properly. And now we need to give this thing some power. So what I'm going to do, use another speed controller. Stick that in the top there. Turn this up. See if we can get max speed out of it. That'll be nice. Stick a bunch of water wheels in here. Oh, it all looks so weird when it's not rendering. I don't like it. But obviously we can't use water because we are in the nether. And that's just, well, it's just not going to work, is it? But I believe we can instead use lava. So I just need to go down and get some of this. And that should work just like the waters do. Yeah, perfect. And that's pumping all the lava. That's going up into here. Wonderful. Let's just make sure I don't actually fall in this lava, because it's the kind of thing I'd do. Now, I just need to grab this, get that power over to there, which I assume is working. It looks like it is. Now, I've put a chest there. You'll just have to believe me that it's actually a chest. And then we're going to put a funnel. Oh, they render. Oh, don't want that one. And if I stick a bucket in there, we should get a bucket of lava, and that should go through the portal. Wonderful. And that seems to have gone directly into that hole. Okay, that's good. It tells us exactly where it's going to come out. Wonderful. So we just want to send those this way. Gonna want water wheels again, but I don't have any water on me. I've only got lava. That'll do. So that'll send the buckets this way, then into this drain. Then we want to send the empty buckets all the way around. So, yep, don't need that one. So this should do the job. The buckets of lava will come out. They'll go on here. They'll get emptied into this item drain, and then it will go all the way around and back through the portal. That's a fluid drain, not an item drain. And then what we need to do is to pump that lava out and into our pit, which is where we need another one of these hose pulleys. And, of course, we are going to need a pump. So what we need to know now is where they come out on this side, and do they actually make it all the way round the section? Let's go find out. I'm hoping it's going to appear right about there. Oh, hello, buddy. Are you trying to get to me? Let me help you out. Well, nothing's come through yet, which tells me I need to make everything a little bit faster on the other side, or I need to fix my belts. What am I doing there? Right, well, I've made some adjustments on this side. Everything's moving much quicker. Okay, so let's see what happens now. That should go through, and hopefully it's going to come out. Yep, right about here. Okay, so as long as we put a little bit of a barrier there, what we could do is jam another belt in here, another weird red invisibly type belt. I want another one here and one here. This certainly makes things more difficult. That funnel should feed the lava back into those. I just need to get all these things powered now and hope that we can get them going the right way as well, considering we're basically blind here. Okay, I think I've got everything set up on this side as well. The last thing I need to do is just adjust where the hose pulley is sitting on the other side, and hopefully we can start generating infinite lava. Oh, it's so nice being able to see everything again. Okay, let's get this lowered. And we don't want to go down too far, because it'll only fill as far as where it sits, basically. So if we go there, that should fill it up to that level. Or it might stop a little bit early if it gets to 10,000 blocks, because once it gets to 10,000 blocks, it will stop filling it up, which is good, because it means it won't overflow. And now, my hope is, if we just chuck a bunch of buckets on there, they should start filling up with lava and coming back. Yep, here we go. Look at this. That's working. Wonderful. And is it all going down here? Yes. Look at that. Look at it go. So hopefully in a couple of hours, we'll actually have a full lava pit. Wonderful. This seems like a good excuse to go make myself some lunch. So while we wait for the lava pit to fill up, we need to actually do some prep work because, well, we've got nowhere to put the power station at the moment, which means we're going to need another building, and I've got a little bit of a confession to make with this one. So I was staring at Main Street for quite a while over the weekend, and I was a little bit stumped on how I was actually going to extend it and how I was going to do the buildings, so I jumped into creative. It was only supposed to be a flying visit, but I ended up staying there for about 12 hours. So much so that I designed a huge portion of Main Street, and instead of rebuilding it all in survival block by block, which will take absolutely forever, and the fact that we're about to add 6 buildings means that it would have been probably about 3 episodes of me just making buildings. You don't want to see that. What we're actually going to do is take advantage of one of Create's features that we rarely use, and that is to use schematics. So we need to make ourselves a schematic cannon, a schematic table, and an empty schematic as well. In fact, we're going to make a couple of these because it's actually 2 separate schematics we're going to be making. Right, that should be everything we need. I've also got myself a couple of clipboards because we're going to need those for generating the resource lists. What I'm going to do is just show you how these schematic cannons work. So what I can do is just dump this cannon down in the middle of the street. Then we're going to use the schematic table to load up our schematic of what we built in Creative. And then we get this giant box here, which I can then place in the real world. So if I put this roughly here, that is not even slightly in the right place. Let's just bring this forward a bit. There, and on this side we'll put it there, and yes, that is what it's going to look like, at least this side of the streets. So yeah, lots of building to be done. It's missing a couple of the finer details like the signs and so on, but I'm still going to have to collect all these resources. I just don't have to manually place them. I can leave that to the cannon over here. But in order to find out what we need, I need to put in a clipboard, and this is going to give me a material checklist. And look at this. This is all the stuff we need to be able to get this build complete. And it's a whole lot of stuff. 14 pages. That's crazy. But once it's done, we'll have some lovely looking buildings here that are going to look a little bit like this. Sadly, these ones are just in ghost form at the moment. I can walk right through them. I also have a bunch of buildings designed for this side of the street, which is going to be a different schematic, but I'm not going to spoil that one for you. You'll see that appear during a time lapse, no doubt. So I've got 2 giant material checklists, and I believe I have a future of resource gathering. That's pretty much all I'm going to be doing for probably the entire afternoon, maybe even into tomorrow morning. We're going to need a lot of resources for this, so you can enjoy this lovely resource gathering montage. Seven hours. That's how long that took. 7 hours. It's now 7:30 in the evening, which means I'm going to get in trouble if Mrs. B catches me recording. But we want to get these schematic cannons up and running. And look, we've just got so much stuff in these boxes. Not so much in that one, but these backpacks are absolutely rammed with building materials. And that means we can do both sides of the street. I'm going to do one side at a time, though, just because it'll look better on the time lapse, and I'm nice like that. And once both sides of the street are up, I'll give you a little tour of what we've got, and then we'll go build a power station in the building that's going to be there. All I need to do now is hit play, and that's going to start doing its thing. Let's go get somewhere safe, and then I'll get you a lovely view for a time lapse. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is starting to look awesome around here. Although it was a bit of a weird time lapse seeing it all get sort of 3D printed like that. But it was either that or you get 3 episodes of me just building buildings and talking through them, and you really don't want that. Instead, what we're going to do is just take a look at these glorious buildings. You can see here I do still need to make the connection between the 2 buildings, but we'll sort that out shortly. And I don't really know what these buildings are going to be used for, apart from this one, which is probably going to be a restaurant because it's got tables and chairs outside, but all of the interiors are empty. I've knocked through some of the walls, connected some of them together, and upstairs we've got lots more room for storage. I'm also loving these different types of train hulls and boilers and things we've got. They really do sort of add a lot to the top here, I think. And over here I've made a funky sign. We've used immersive paintings to add a picture, which I definitely didn't just grab from Google. I may have grabbed it from Google. And we've also got a smoke pipe at the top here, which you can just apply dye to, so I've applied white dye just to make it look a bit more steamy instead of dirty. But that side of the street is looking pretty awesome. And then over this side we've got another 4 buildings, and these little sort of window ledge things, these bay windows, once again the boilers coming in clutch. Absolutely love them. I also try to get a splash of color into this one, and we've got some cogs and a few other bits going on. We've got a shop sign hanging out the front here, which I know doesn't actually have anything on it, the same as the one over there, but I think it still adds to the area and looks pretty cool. On this next building I will get that bit there spinning, which I think would look quite good, but overall it's just, well, another sort of static building really. But then we've also got this walkway here and a little bench. This goes up to a walkway at the top here. So, oh, we're missing a chain there. But from up here, you can see down the whole street, and you can also get a sort of view of the monorail train coming in. The idea is it's just going to be some kind of viewing platform. And once again, I have used immersive paintings to definitely not steal an image from Google to put a giant poster at the back of this walkway here. And once again, I think these lights are working really well in this area too. The next building, I've got a bit lighter. We've got some sandstone. We've got these weird sort of copper tanks on the side for some reason. But I think the crimson roof really makes it pop. And out the front here, I've got some kind of weird mechanical contraption for some reason, but I think it looks quite cool, and once again, it just adds a bit more movement to the streets. And then lastly, we've got this big building over here with a very weird contraption in the top there. Once again, just wanted to get lots of movement in the building, and I think this is the one where we're going to be building our power plant because, well, we've got lots of space, and yes, we've got our lava pit still building up down the bottom there. It did actually fill up the hole that I made, but it turns out that I can't math, and 20 by 20 by 20 is actually 8,000, not 10,000. So what I've actually had to do is extend the tank up, so it will fill up to this line, and that's going to be 25 layers deep, and then it should be an infinite lava pool. Hopefully I've done my maths right this time. So it's still got a little way to go, but eventually that should say infinite lava source on that little window we've got popped up there from our goggles. But until it says that, we'll leave it doing its thing. I do have a couple of other tricks up my sleeve for this street, but we'll get to those at the end of the episode, and it's really going to sell the atmosphere around here. But first, I think I want to sort out this little storage connection bridge here. First thing I need to do is move this door over and move it down a little bit as well. So a couple of copycat slabs should solve this problem. Then a couple of panels there just to solve any head height problems. Should be able to get quite a nice sort of iron walkway looking bridge across here. Just use these iron catwalk blocks and andesite walkway rail. And we're going to use copycat doors here because I just want them to be sort of industrial panels like that. And these ones should be the same. That's pretty much all I want for that. And for now, I'm just going to put these blocks in here, but we will be swapping those out for a storage drawer connection at some point in future. And that gives us loads more storage space. Look at all of this. Not so much on this one, I guess. But in general, lots more space to work with. Maybe get a couple of brackets on here, I think. Give that a bit more structure. All right, I'd say that's looking pretty good from down here. Next up, power station. And to make a power station, the first thing we're going to need to do is grab ourselves a few more blocks. And we get to make some new stuff too. How exciting. So to make a steam power plant, we need a few different ingredients. I was hoping we'd have copper in there, but we don't. But it's okay. I think we've got plenty in storage. Yep, there's almost 1,000 there. Perfect. And hopefully that's going to be enough. So let's get all that cooked up. And in the meantime, let's turn this into ingots. And we're going to need lots and lots of copper sheets. Because we need to make about 220 odd of these fluid tanks, which is about 3.5 stacks. Hence all the barrels in my hotbar. So hopefully that's all the fluid tanks we're going to need. Next up, steam engines, and we need 27 of these. We're going for max size steam power plants here, so that means they can hold up to 9 engines. Although in fact, if you get them to level 18 by using blaze cakes, they can actually hold even more, but yeah, 9 will be fine. Let's just squish that gold and get those made. So we're also going to need 27 blaze burners, which means we need lots of iron sheets and some netherrack. Just like that. And if we fly back to our fishing shack over where we first started, we've still got our blaze burner there. So this should be nice and simple. Oh, it looks weird flying without wings. Feel like Superman. I mean, I do have wings on. I just have my armor hidden so you can't see them. So let's just grab these. And what I should really actually do is turn that thing into a mob farm, because then I could actually get some XP. That'd be handy, wouldn't it? But we'll deal with that on another episode. We're busy. So I'm also going to need a whole load of pipes. I think I've got some in my backpack here. Yep, there we go. We're also going to want a couple of water wheels, just so we've got some backup power. We need a couple of pumps. In fact, we're going to need about 12. We'll also take some belts and cogs and cased things and stuff like that. That's definitely going to help us. Stressometer might come in handy. And I think for the most part, that's pretty much everything we're going to need. Except maybe some gearboxes. So let's take some casings just in case. Is that all we've got? It would appear so. Well, that'll have to do. Let's go build a power plant. Okay, so the first thing I think I want to do here is to dig a nice hole, because I think I want to sink the plants down just a tiny bit. And then what we need to do is put in a whole bunch of blaze burners. So we're doing 3x3 steam boilers here. So, oh, fell off. And we're going to have 3 in total. So what I need to do is actually make a little bit more space here. And there's a number of ways we can actually feed fuel into these things. And the proper way to do it with Create when you're using lava is to use mechanical arms. And you essentially have a system that fills up buckets of lava from the pool below. Those buckets then get fed into the burners behind me, and it just goes round in a big loop with the empty buckets. But that's what we did last season, and last season we had quite a lot of lag and frame drop in an area where we had lots of stuff. And because this is Main Street, I want to keep it as frame friendly as possible. So with that in mind, what we're actually going to be doing is pumping the lava directly into the blaze burners. We have a mod on here that allows us to do that. We just need to wait for the rest of this this tank to actually fill up. It's still got a bit further to go that way. And then it's got another whole level. But then we can start pumping lava into these. So this will eventually connect up over here somewhere. In the meantime, however, we can focus on everything else. Let's just jump our way back up here for now. And what we need to do on top here is build some giant tanks. And they need to be 8 blocks tall. They're a 3x3 area here. That also means we're going to need to knock through a hole in the ceiling. Oh, I haven't made enough. I need about another 20 or so. All right, there we go. That's better. And next up, we need to attach the steam engines. So we're going to do a grid of 9 on each one, like this. Then we need to add shafts onto all of them. So if we put these in like this, connect all those with the belts. Next up, we need to sort out water. So we're going to stick a couple of water wheels down here. Case chain drive there and there. I'm just going to block off this back wall here. I think we'll swap out these as well. Next up, we need water, so we'll put some in the bottom here. That'll give us power. And I've also made a channel at the back here, which is what we're going to use to actually feed the power plants. I just need to get this spread all along. Make sure we've always got infinite water. Perfect. And if I stick pumps down here, we're going to have 2 pumps for each one. That should maintain the water sources. Hopefully. Just going to need cogs in between each one of these. And I imagine this is going to be way too slow to keep up. But for now, we can at least start getting a bit of water into them. Wait a minute, don't I need to lift all this up by one? Silly Beardy. Right, there we go. That's got everything spinning. We just need to make it much faster, which means I need a rotational speed controller. Back in a minute. Alrighty, so how are we going to fix this? Just one of them in there. In fact, it might actually be better to put this down here. We can put a big gear in, gearbox, and a couple of small gears. That should do the trick. Let's just put that water wheel back there and speed it up. Oh, it's already working though. See, we're getting a little bit of passive power. So now that this one's getting passive water, what we can do is hop across over to here, and we're going to mess with this just a little bit. I'm going to put another speed controller there with a cog. We'll have that come down to there. We'll have those come out. Get that attached back to the top here. And with that going at maximum speed, what we can do is get that linked all the way over to here. So that's got all the other pumps linked up around the back there. What we need to do now is see if we've got infinite lava. We do. Look, we have a bottomless supply. Wonderful. So now we need to wind this all the way down to the bottom of the tank. And it's still saying it's a bottomless supply. This is good. So let's just go down here and turn this off. We'll tear all this down properly in a little while. What we need to do now is to pump all of this into the lava tanks. Or the blaze burners, I should say. And let's get that going that way. And there we go. It's all kicked in. We've got the pump running. We're generating lots of power. In fact, let's have a look. So if we just stick this on there, we're generating 289,000. Which doesn't add up. Wait a minute, this wasn't connected up to the top. There we go, that's better. 436,000 stress units. That should keep us going for a while. So it is a bit weird just having a power station jammed in on Main Street like this, at least looking how it currently does. So I think what I'm going to do is turn this into a bit of a walkthrough attraction. In fact, what's on the other side of this wall here? So if I tidied this up a little bit, we could have a little walkthrough bit here that then goes into this building with something else over here potentially. And then that comes outside. In fact, it comes out right by this. That's actually perfect. So yeah, maybe that's what we need to do. Mess about, tidy up, and turn it into a fancy little walkthrough attraction. or so later, and I think we're actually done with our first walkthrough. So now when we walk into the power plant, we have a little bit of a power museum kind of thing going on. So we've got examples of all the different types of power. We've got large and small water wheels. We've got a windmill. And of course, we've got our steam engine, which is actually providing the power. Although I do need to get this board showing some information, but we'll do that in just a moment. I've also added in some other smaller details, like some switches and pipes and beams and things like that, just to clutter the place up a little bit more, as well as some lighting, of course. And I've also made use of straw statues just to put in some models here. So we've got Throwlash turning this valve, and we've got a couple more as we go through. I've also put in an access over here to the upstairs area. So if we go up here, it brings us onto the walkway. And if we go in here, we can see the top half of the power station. So I've just opened up this side here so you can see a bit what's going on in there. That's the same thing we can see from outside. We can see all the steam engines running, and we've also got a walkway to go up the top and just look down on the whole area. But in general, I've tried to keep it fairly simple up here. However, if we go back downstairs, I've also knocked through this wall here, and I've put in a crushing setup. So I can put anything I want in there, it'll go up, it'll get crushed, and then it'll come out in this box here. And we've also got a very confused looking AD Craft standing there as well. But I think that's looking pretty good and works quite well. And then anyone visiting this area will go outside, they'll see our weird contraption out here, and in fact we have Mrs. B doing some maintenance out on this side, and in fact, I do need to give her a wrench. There we go. But we'll have to use our imagination that these are animatronics and doing a little bit of movement, but overall, it really does sort of bring the little attraction alive. One thing I do want to do to get this finished, though, is to actually display how much power we're generating and get that on here. In fact, what I might do is make that a little bit taller, and that'll give us a little bit more space to work with. And what we're going to do is use a display link here. So if we right-click on this board here, and then stick it on the back of this stressometer here, what we can do is display some information. So on line 2, if we show how much network stress we've used, and we'll do that in actual numbers. It looks like we may need to make our board a little bit bigger. Or maybe we could just remove the label. We could potentially color code it. Then we're going to stick another one on top, and then we're going to display the remaining amount of power we have, which is 432. Wow. And then we're going to add one more, and this one's going to show the total capacity. Then we'll just use a few copycat boards here to cover up some of this mess. And then the last thing we need to do is write on a clipboard. Put that on the top row, and then apply a little bit of dye. So that's our total, that is our available, and that is our used. I think that works quite well. And I can happily say our power plant is now open. Excellent stuff. Out here on the street, though, despite the movement and everything we've got going on, it still feels a little bit lifeless. But I've got a mod on here that's going to help with that, in a weird way. And that is this, the Create Songs and Speakers mod, which is a fork of IAM or IAM Music Player. But this is going to allow us to do some very cool things. We just need to make a couple of items first, including an audio station, a speaker or two, and a parabolic antenna. Which, if you've been playing this pack at all, you may have been finding some of those bits in loot chests around and about. I have noticed they're around, but I've not been picking them up. So yeah, we're just going to go craft what we need. So first up, we're going to need 2 parabolic antennas, which means we need 8 of these. Gonna need some redstone links, and that'll let us make those. Next up, we need an audio workstation, so I just need some glass panes and a couple of belts. So that should be our audio workstation. And lastly, we just need some speakers, which means I need note blocks and jukeboxes. So we'll get a couple of those, a few of those, and that'll get us a couple of speakers. Wonderful. I think what I'm going to do is just stick this audio workstation down here in my bedroom. Now let's take a look. The first thing we need to do is to create a playlist. We're going to call this one music. We'll set it to private and read only. Then create. Then we're going to select that. We're going to add a track to it. And we're going to upload our music. And on this occasion, we're using something called Back to Happy Town. Then click add, and that should now be on our playlist. Look at that, wonderful. But I also need a second playlist, and this one's going to be for sound effects. We'll set it up in the same way. Add a new track, upload our sound effect, and add that to our playlist. And we should now have 2 sound effects. Excellent. Now we're going to go put these into use, and I'm hoping this works and actually sounds good, but I guess we're about to find out. So first up, what I want to do is hide a speaker around here somewhere so that this machine here has lots of its own sort of clunky sound effects. So if I sneak a speaker down here, give it a parabolic antenna and click this button, then I can select my sound effect. We'll go for this here, put it on loop, turn it up to max. Oh, that's awesome. It's only a subtle thing, but that sort of rattly squeak and turning of wheels, I think really does sell it. And we should be able to hear that all around here. But then when we get out of range or block it by a wall, for example, yeah, we can't hear it. So it just comes into effect as you walk past, which is awesome, in the same way that we can hear the steam engines when we walk past the door. I love that. Oh, and it's got a little bell in the sound effect as well. Awesome. I guess we're going to need to add a bell somewhere to make that make sense. But I like. And for the second speaker, I want to hide it about halfway down the street somewhere. And I'm thinking maybe sort of up there on the side of that building could work. So let's just fly up here. Oh, I missed. So let's just casually fly up here and definitely land it first time. There we go. What we're going to do is stick a speaker in there. Once again, put the parabolic antenna on. We're going to go to this tab here, go to music, and we're going to go for this track here, set that on repeat, and now our street has music. That really sells it as a theme park entrance, I think. And it cuts out perfectly just as we go under the bridge. Well, I don't know about you, but it certainly feels a whole lot more theme parky around here, just with that music, and of course, with our sort of machine going off over there as well. This is awesome. I love that bell. And the good news is you'll get to experience it for yourselves in a couple of days, because the world will be available for all YouTube members and Patreon members of any level, and I'll be getting this uploaded on Tuesday as soon as I get back from my holiday. But sadly, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.